sort of music, you know, by hand, ding-a-ding, played by hand, ding-a-ding-a-ding, played by hand, ding-a-ding-a-ding, by hand, ding-a-ding, by hand, ding-a-ding-a-ding.
That's a fact, but it's okay if you don't think like that. That the earth is flat, oh, and that's a fact. If it's okay if you don't want to think all that, let's just party tonight. We don't have to fight. Let's just party tonight. Let's just party tonight. We don't have to fight. Let's just party tonight. It's gonna be alright.
I like turtles.
Here's how to order. Meow, 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 meow.
You got any gum?
Flat Earth.
When the world became unfurled.
Try not to ever slip into an alpha state, because then they could force feed you stuff. These things. Think about how simple mind control really is, and how true and real it is.
I like turtles.
Are there people in the Republican Party who think we're sucking the blood out of kids?
I'm not sure. Are there people in the Democratic Party who want to...
Mr. President, speak up.
I like turtles.
Here's how to order. Meow, 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 meow.
You got any gum?
Flat Earth.
When the world became unfurled.
Try not to ever slip into an alpha state, because then they
again to Reading Between the Lines, where I take you with me on my research as I look into hidden secrets from history. And today it looks like I found a connection between the flat Earth and Tartaria, and I think I can explain why so many people, or there's so many clues that link Tartaria to the early colonies, to the early colonization of North America. So we're starting with this. It's basically, I mean, this was written in 1883. It's telling a story about 1883. It was released in 1904. It's basically a pamphlet of propaganda. There's even advertisements in it for the Grand Hotel. They don't tell you that's what it is, but if you just read through it, you can tell. It's the discovery of America and the conquest of the Moors by the Spaniards. And there's the first advertisement. They just keep interspersing that in here. But, oh, it's Christopher Columbus. I didn't know he looked like that. Anyway, he looks almost cartoonish there, doesn't he? So, you could tell that it's a piece of propaganda just by reading it, but this right here actually is the first clue. Let's see. I can read that for you guys real quick. That the general public, and especially the young of our land, may process in condensed form and become thoroughly familiar with the causes which led to the discovery of America by Christopher Columbus in 1492, out of which grew the revival and final establishment of the heliocentric system, and also the government of the United States, proves the incentive for the publication of this work. So, there's an incentive to write this, and the incentive is to cement the final establishment of the heliocentric system, as well as the government of the United States. Isn't that creepy? And also make sure that Christopher Columbus is the one who gets credit for everything. And look, entered in according to the Act of Congress in the year 1883. Which act was that, per se? I'm gonna have to look it up, but it just sounds a little bit like a propaganda act. I don't know. We'll see. I'll have to look it up. So then it just goes on to tell a flowery story about Christopher Columbus and the Moors here. And it's weird. It talks about the Moors and Tartary and how they just had these magnificently decorated palaces made of marble, and they're so beautiful. And then it just kind of skips to, hold on. Then it skips to Christopher Columbus just appealing to Queen Isabella to reach. He was actually he was trying to get to Tartary. That's what's so important. But I don't know why they built up the Moors like that and then just skipped to this part. but it says he formed the conclusion, this is Columbus, he formed the conclusion that if Marco Polo reached India, the kingdom of the Grand Khan of Tartary, by traveling eastward, he could certainly reach the opposite coast of India by sailing westward. So he was trying to get to Tartary. And you know how they call Native Americans Indians? What if they called North America Tartaria for a while? I have the feeling that they did. And I think that that's where all those references are. Whenever it's in literature or, you know, in art, when they're saying the Tartaria, like the Thomas More poem with the veiled prophet about Tartaria, I think it's symbolically, for the people of that day, they understood when you said Tartaria that they meant North America, because that's where Columbus was trying to reach. But it's almost like they scrubbed that. They scrubbed that part from the history. So I'm thinking that Tartaria really wasn't a part of the Tartar, you know, all the maps that show Tartaria and the Tartary. I don't think that they were necessarily attached to that kingdom, but when Columbus came here, he may have called it Tartaria because he thought he was going to India, the same reason why we still call the Native Americans Indians. Maybe we used to call them Tartarians. Don't know. So that's my theory on that. But then it goes on, imbued with the belief that he was God's chosen instrument to prove the severity of the earth, he constantly overturned the governments of his day. I mean, it's crazy, the propaganda here. And they just talk about the sphere over and over and over. And they talk about, okay, so I don't know what the Moors even have to do with this. They just say at the same time that Columbus was coming, that Queen Isabella, they attacked the Moors. I don't know what that has to do with anything. And then they go on and make fun of flat earth here. This is more propaganda. They ridiculed this theory of antipodes with their head hanging downwards, and it being contrary to the belief of their theologians and philosophers, in violation of their sacred scripture. See, they're making fun of Christians here. They argued if the world was round, then a vessel attempting to make the ascent of the sphere would fall off into space. Which actually, that's what people, you know, people who believe the heliocentric model say about flat earthers now. So they switched that up a little bit. They also argued that the earth was flat surface bordered by the waters of the sea, on the yielding support of which rested the crystalline dome in the sky, and the sun and the moon and the planets were subordinate nature. Thus, their use being to give light to man who is elevated to supreme importance. So yeah, more of that switcheroo there. So they're just basically saying that man is not important again. And then it says the parasitic geography had governed the Christian church for the 12 centuries and was its authority for rejecting the theory of the sphericity of the earth. So it's become a church against science thing this early. And so yeah, this is just, they go on and on about it. On and on about it. And again, they say Christopher Columbus and his discovery of America, gosh, at least 20 times in this. It's just ridiculous. Okay, and then another ad for the Grand Hotel. And then, okay, so there's more propaganda about the earth being round here. I mean, they really go on and on about it. That's kind of crazy. So he thought he was going to the Indies because the kingdom of the Grand Khan of Tartary was supposed to abound in gold, silver, and precious stones, and to contain inexhaustible wealth, which would inure to the benefit of Spain. So is that really the kingdom of the Grand Khan, or did they know something about North America? I don't know. But I really think that that's why Tartaria, you know, the references in literature and everything is called Tartaria. I really don't think that it's ever been the same kingdom as Genghis Khan's kingdom. Anyhow, this just goes on about it. It doesn't get any more interesting. But, oh, except for that picture, wow. It's the Grand Union Hotel in New York City, which is what all the advertisements are about. Look at that. That's insane. That is so big and pretty. So there we are, folks. We've got Flat Earth and Tartaria in the same little pamphlet, as well as a bunch of government-sponsored propaganda. And I just wanted to share that with you. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you later.
Where's the pictures from NASA? How come they don't have any?
They don't have that space kind of. That
they don't have the technology?
No, they just never did it.
They also don't get these Japanese
they
pictures. I've seen them. Put them up.
They don't
They're
have
terrible.
that kind of
Show
space
me a real
satellite.
picture. Show me a real picture.
Listen, NASA does not have one of those satellites.
Fake.
Why do you think that's fake?
That's fake.
Why does it look fake?
It looks like something you'd see in a movie.
That's because when they do it in a movie, they try to make it look like this, which is what looks real.
If that's real to you, man, shit.
You don't think it's real?
They faked 6 moon
Eddie,
landings.
dude, stop saying that because it's irrelevant. We're not talking. You watch some ridiculous kung fu video.
If this world was flat.
Globalists see me as a threat. Free thinking, got the world at my neck, huh? Am I paranoid? Picture Malcolm X in a room full of pigs trying not to bust a sweat. Hey, Neil Tyson need to loosen up his vest. His breath got the clone scar, cuz whoop. Use your common sense. Why is NASA Department of Defense? They divided up the seas into 33 degrees, feeding kids masonry. Bro, be careful what you read. Flatline, flatline. There's no superior bloodline. Flatline, flatline. Bounce, flatline. You fooled us for the last time. Flatline, flatline. There's no superior bloodline.
Son went around the earth. Everybody say, hey, that scientist. Well, he's so smart. We'll give him a white publicity.
Other science refuted it.
Right, but back then.
Is so much curved Earth, and without paying much attention to this.
But there were very specific problems. Was the devil's business, and this flattens out any kind of intelligence.
Pleasure to meet you, Art. I really enjoyed your music.
There were very few vibrations of any sort. There's a picture of the INSAT. A few vibrations of any sort. There's a picture of the INSAT. A few vibrations of any sort. There's a picture of the INSAT.
A few.
To prove you round is wrong, so I strolled outside. Flat cap, flat battery, let's theorize. I took a really long stick and put it on the ground. That bitch stay flat, cause the earth's not round. The earth is flat and I'll prove it in this song. Just like my Mountain Dew that's been out too long. My credit card, flat. My ruler, flat. This paper, flat. Where I live, flat. The tires on my back, flat. The soul of my hand, flat. My single pitch, flat. This whole world, flat. On the top, then the stuff at the bottom probably fell off. Single pitch, flat. This whole world, flat.
Everybody at that time thought that guy was smart. Why at this time do we think that the Earth goes around the sun?
Christ think the world was flat.
Huh?
Christ think the world was flat. These are questions I ask.
that kind of country. What you are going to see, you're already seeing in some jurisdictions, is they're saying businesses have to close at 11. Or recommendations, a guideline that I hope most jurisdictions will follow. And again, this is about limiting.
I'm telling you, I've done a lot of these interviews, well, a few of them from space. The technology now is amazing. The picture, guys, you look like you're in a studio, maybe in Omaha, Nebraska or something. The shot is so clear. Is this a hoax? Are you really in space still?
It's just Scooby-Doo cartoons, and the dude carries on as normal. Those on the fluoride don't even notice.
During the ascent, here they go. We have jettisoned fairing. We don't need it anymore.
Times every day. One of the most rewarding activities that some astronauts undertake on orbit is to talk to schools using the space station's...
Why are they using this picture?
Now, these are
Official NASA video, kids with NASA TVs on their heads.
That as a government employee, I'm subject to the Hatch Act, so I can't say what I think. But I really liked the rodent research we did because it was so challenging. Yeah, I don't know why it's.
Here's some serious symbolism going on. These are a few different ones over the years. I mean, almost everyone has some sort of occult or flat Earth symbolism. Unbelievable. All in plain sight. You get on that fluoride and you just get blind to everything. What's going on with this green laser?
Provide safe and sustainable space-based living quarters, workspaces, and laboratories. Expandable habitats are one option. These potentially weigh less and occupy less volume on a rocket while allowing for additional space for living and working. Ground-monitored sensors will autonomously collect thermal, impact, and radiation data throughout the 2-year on-orbit life of Beam.
What I do like is the first comment there is a flat earther telling them that it's completely fake CGI nonsense. Take it called Paxi, a little alien. A lot of programming going into the children about aliens.
Hi everyone, my name is Kimiya Yui, Japanese astronaut. Hi Paxi, welcome to the
What's
ISS.
that movement? What are you doing there? There's children
Today,
watching.
I'd like to explain how we brush our teeth on orbit.
Stop doing that. It's rude.
But before that, let's take a look how we
Get
brush
that
our
fluoride
teeth
in
on
you,
orbit.
Emily.
Okay.
Loads of that toothpaste. Get that pineal gland shut.
The smallest of which I'm holding here, which is a 35
Yeah, that's really going to fly around space, isn't it? So what's going on with this green laser?
Shaq says he can see the moon, but he can't see California. So is the moon closer? Do you agree?
BD, I think that question was from you from my own 3D.
That's a good
and again,
question.
it was Shaq could see the moon.
But I can't see California from my backyard.
So
what's
is it closer?
California's closer.
Okay. How come I can't see it then?
That's okay.
How come I can't see it then?
Because it's flat.
Wait, the Earth is flat?
No, because the circumference of the Earth is flat.
But is
you
it
cannot see.
flat?
You can't
Professor
see.
BD.
You're not high enough to see over the horizon.
But is the Earth flat or round? Are you like?
It's a combination of both. So from space is round, right? And then when you're on Earth, it's flat.
That's what I say, because when I drive my bus from Florida to California, I go like that. I don't go like that. I'm just saying. When I fly from here to China, I fly like this. I don't fly like that. So I'm just saying, when I look up, the moon be looking at me and I'll be looking at the moon.
How long do you
But I
think
can't
it
see
take the
California.
drive to get to the moon? Take about 24
Drive?
hours from California. How far you think it drive to the moon?
I don't know.
I mean, you can see it.
I'm not.
What it look like?
It looked pretty to me. I got one of them big old telescopes that I got on Amazon. I'm just saying. Me and you, BD, you want to go to the moon?
Yeah.
I just want to know what is up next. Get it? Next.
Hey, TK, I wish you had a picture of my man on the internet with the big and little neck, man. Put Shaq face on the drill.
Who's next?
Anyway, we had enough jokes about turtlenecks today.
You see what I'm saying? This is a flat.
Me and my partner, she dogging me.
I like this.
A carpenter uses it to measure a horizontal plane level. Level is right. Oh, not.
Are you a flat earther or are you a round earther? And we've actually come to the point on TYT Sports where we have to pick a side, which means you're either with the likes of some NBA All-Stars or you're with the likes of Adam Silver.
Science.
Oh, shit, you calm down, kid, okay? Wait till we get into this. We've done the clip. I'm not sure if were you here for the Kyrie Irving Flat Earth clip?
Yep.
In which, man, do I love how much people just, oh my God, what the F is with the hair, guys? You know, I don't care. I don't care. My point being, if you see it, it's like sticking right out. Not a problem. Here, we'll do this. We'll just do this. You know what?
Don't do it.
No, we're gonna do that. There we go. See, problem solved. My point being here is we did the clip on Kyrie Irving Flat Earth, and man, people just want to believe sometimes the surface level. No, he doubled down. He doubled down saying that he believes the Earth is flat. I think there's an entire ulterior motive to all of these flat earther conspiracy ones, and I think it's becoming a great joke. Now, Francis Maxwell, are you a flat earther or a round earther? It's fine either way. You're allowed to believe either one.
Depends, man. If I want you to do something that I want to make you kind of fly, like go under the radar. Maybe someone doesn't want to see what you're doing. Maybe you want to go out and shave your head. You don't want people to pay attention to that.
What does that have to do with the Earth?
I'll get to it. I'll tell people that the world is, that the Earth is flat, and they'll be like, he said the Earth is flat. And they'll be like, but Jason just shaved his head. No, it doesn't matter. He said the Earth is flat. It's a carryover effect of what we've seen for the past year, where just say something ridiculous, and it will just like, people will actually take you serious. People will buy into it, and then other people can just go about and do things that maybe they aren't taking, and there's not as much focus being put on it, and they can do some pretty interesting things. So that's, of course, in reference to like the likes of, in the political sphere, like Kellyanne Conway saying microwaves can spy on you.
Did you see Brett's video on that too?
Yeah, he was taking a photo.
Did you see your video on it?
Yes.
I agree with her.
You think they can spy on us?
Yes. But that's an entirely different thing, because microwaves also think the Earth is flat.
It's very true. But my video was on that she's like, I didn't talk about that. Yeah, she was the distraction. She was squealing.
How bad of a friend would I be for a week straight you're telling me about the animal farm related piece if I was just like, which one?
What are you talking about? So yeah, what I mean is like, I think that Kyrie being woke, let's say, on the media, and how they will literally take everything at face value and just run with it. He said that at the All-Star game is like, the Earth could be flat.
Sure, it can be. Maybe they're lying to us. I'm gonna get to a much bigger picture point that we're all alluding to later in the Flat Earth versus Rounder. This is, by the way, like my top, will be one of my favorite clips of the year, I promise you. Shaq agrees, but Shaq's got great reasoning, and that's why I'm gonna explain afterwards why I think this could become a hilariously dangerous meme. Here's the tweet in which he explains why. It's true, the Earth is flat. The Earth is flat. Yes, it is. Listen, there are 3 ways to manipulate the mind: what you read, what you see, and what you hear. In school, first thing they teach us is, oh, Columbus discovered America. But when he got here, there was some fair-skinned people with the long hair smoking on the peace pipes. So what does that tell you? Columbus didn't discover America. So listen, I drive from coast to coast, and this shit is flat to me. I'm just saying, I drive from Florida to California all the time, and it's flat to me. I do not go up and down at a 360-degree angle, and all that stuff about gravity. Have you looked outside Atlanta lately and seen all these buildings? You mean to tell me that China is under us? China is under us? It's not. The world is flat.
Solid reasoning. Solid A+ for setting what your message is, and then for following it up with some substance, and then at the very end just referring to China, because it's true, China can't be under us.
It can't. It's not possible. If you dig a hole, they tell you if you dig a hole, you straight down, you get to China. You'd also melt in the Earth's core because it's round. Still, though, I wanted to point out a couple of things. For one, Yahoo Sports wrote a whole article today, and I love that how they don't have to, but they do anyway. They have to provide reasoning as to why it's not flat. Like and I'm gonna get to like a point where this is, technically a 360-degree angle is just a circle. I don't know why Shaq thinks you would be driving up and down on a circle, but it's possible to drive comfortably on a spherical object when the object's circumference is 24,000 miles. Think of an ant walking around a basketball, if you will. It might think it's moving in a straight line, but eventually it will navigate the orb and arrive in the same place. So, I mean, just some science here on TYT Sports. I'm gonna continue with some other things because Gizmodo had to run a headline today. I don't know why they had to, but you know, whatever might be considered journalistic reasoning or programming. Here's a picture of the headline. Some photos of Earth for Shaq who thinks the Earth is flat. My God, 126,000 fire upvotes, whatever that means.
That's insane. It's because of the size of those shoes. Remember, we saw them firsthand.
They're big shoes. Popular YouTuber Vsauce, with over almost 12 million subscribers, has a video with 13 million views titled, "Is the Earth Actually Flat?" Whoa. 13 million views. No new friends, but 13 million views. And I say the same thing about myself, too.
All credit to Jason Rubin for the fantastic screen grab of a very flattering picture of the gentleman.
Man,
Every merchant knows what Marco told him of his visit to Copano, a distant island where the king hath a mighty palace, all roofed with finest gold. And the windows of the palace are decorated with gold, and the floors, even the floors, are paved with the precious stuff 2 fingers thick. 2 fingers thick, Christopher. Did you hear me?
2 fingers thick.
Well, Christopher, when are you going to grow up so that you can sail to the ends of the earth and see its wonders? Are you going to sail clear to Cathay? Or to the Indies?
Or even fall off the end of it and never see your mother or father again? Or home? Even Genoa? Look, boy, we've no more time. Off with you now. There's wool to be combed.
Christopher, my boy, from the trees of Seville, a sailing man gave it to me.
But if the earth is flat, why do not the oceans run off its sides, as the water does vineyards?
Christopher, my boy, the earth is as flat as this orange.
But this orange is round.
So is the earth, son. People don't think so. But we who know the sea are sure the earth is round. Of course, it has yet to be proven.
But why? With all our ships and men who sail.
You are a curious boy. Perhaps it is because there has not yet been a sailor with your curiosity and the courage to see it through. Run along now, but come back soon.
And so a curious boy grew into manhood. Genoa and his father's house were but a memory. He went to sea first as a youth, and in a few years he knew more about ships than most men twice his age. But there were still things to be learned: mathematics and astronomy, the knowledge of charted waters, and the fear of waters uncharted.
Bartholomew. Yes, brother?
Here it is, my new trade route to Cathay.
And to certain death, brother. Do you know what you've done? You've shown a western passage. But 'tis impossible.
Do you remember when we were children and we traveled to Milano?
Yes.
And you cried because you were afraid?
Yes.
You'd not cry now if we were to go to Milano?
Oh, of course not. But we're not children any longer.
Men act as children only when they don't know where they're going. I am sure that by sailing west, I will find a shorter route from Europe to Asia. And such a route has been badly needed since the Turks have captured Constantinople, dear brother.
But who would risk his money or his life to make good such a dream? A letter for Christopher Columbus.
Thank you.
It is from Dr. Toscanelli. A great scholar in astrology?
Yes. He agrees with me. Toscanelli says I am right. The earth is round, and he will help me to prove it. You ask me who would risk his life and fortune? Ha ha! It'll be my life and the money of Don John, King of Portugal.
Patience, brother.
Patience, you say? Haven't we waited 6 weeks for Don John's decision?
Captain Columbus?
Yes.
We have made our decision.
Yes?
You are asking His Grace Don John to risk the kingdom's gold and the lives of his subjects on a very uncertain voyage. The answer is no.
I cannot accept your decision until I see Don John himself. But, Your Majesty, all this has been going on for months. I need only your permission.
Columbus, you have a very ambitious plan. But why gamble on a new route? We already have a sea route partway to the Indies over the Mediterranean.
But the pirating by the Turks, sire, the distance.
My men are stout, Columbus. They have no fear of pirates. Besides, we can sail our ships southerly around Africa by the Cape of Good Hope, thence northerly to the lands of the East. We waste time.
Sailing westward to reach the Indies had become the sole purpose of life to Columbus. Years of waiting at the doors of kings had stripped him of everything except his faith in a dream and a son, Ferdinand. There remained only one country to which he could turn, France.
But Father, you are tired.
The beast too must rest. We've a long journey, my son.
Why, Father, must we go on? Were you not comfortable at Santa Fe? And the king and queen, your friends? Did they not ask we stay?
To be sure. They listened to our plans with one ear, while with the other they were listening to their generals. No, my son. So long as Spain is at war with the Moor, our only hope is France.
Greetings, my son.
Greetings, Father.
Have you journeyed far?
All the way from Santa Fe.
Come, rest. The monastery of La Rabida welcomes you.
No, Father. We are en route to France, and time does not permit us to wait.
Time? Caution, man. If you do not think of yourself, there's this child. You will reach the mountains by sundown. Come. Your belief is strong, my son.
I warned you, Father, that mine is a dream so vast that even you would mock me.
No, my son. I will consult a friend, Garcia Hernandez, who knows much about these things, and if he thinks you're right, then I will take it upon myself to go to their majesties, Ferdinand and Queen Isabella.
You, Father? But what better audience could you receive than I, who have been in their court for the past 6 years?
In addition to my activities here as Prior of La Rabida, Captain Columbus, I've also tutored the sons of Ferdinand for 7 years past.
We hold audience.
I don't know.
Christopher Columbus!
I thought I had got rid of this fellow Columbus.
So you had, but Father Perez uses his influence where others cannot.
We have decided to hear again your proposal. Having driven the last of the Moors from Spanish soil, we are now free to plan the greater glory of Spain.
But, Your Highness, the war was costly. Our treasury is almost empty. How dare we even consider new expenditures?
How true, Your Highness. If perhaps the good man had a scheme to make gold instead of to waste it.
Your Majesty?
Yes, Santiago?
Would you have appointed me treasurer of Aragon if you had thought me a wasteful man?
Indeed, I would not.
And you still have faith in my opinion? A short trade route west would keep our ships out of the hands of the piratical Turks and bring the wealth of the Indies to the crown of Spain. What short trade route? I've heard of none.
There's no such thing.
Who actually knows that?
And if there is, ours will become the greatest land of the earth. And our king and queen, the most glorious rulers in all history. Or would you prefer that Columbus take his plan to the kings of France or England?
What would you need? Enough to equip 3 ships.
And for yourself?
If I fail, nothing.
And if you succeed?
Then, my queen, I would ask to be Admiral of the Ocean Sea and ruler of all the lands I discover thereon, with the privileges of this office, and that I be named Viceroy of these new lands, to rule them in the name of the King and Queen for the rest of my natural life. I would naturally become a Don of Spain, my family to rank thereafter with the houses of Aragon and Castile. And I would require 1/10 of all gold and jewels, spices...
Stop! Stop, I say! Unless the captain has forgotten something. Perhaps the throne of Spain? And I wondered why they called you a dreamer.
Columbus was again en route to France. He was certain that his pleadings with Isabella and Ferdinand had failed. Leaving his disappointments behind, he hoped that soon, very soon, he would set sail under the banner of another king.
You are Christopher Columbus?
I am.
Her Royal Highness, Queen Isabella, has ordered your return to Santa Fe.
And so the miracle had happened. Queen Isabella had convinced the court, and the dream of Columbus had come true. The days that followed were busy ones. Queen Isabella had authorized 3 ships to be built: the Pinta, the Nina, and the Admiral's flagship, the Santa Maria. Every beam was set, every plank caulked under the Admiral's supervision. These were stout little ships, small to be sure by modern-day comparison, but they were built to withstand the strongest winds and seas. And the crews were strong, hand-picked. 1,000 stories have been told of the men who joined this most daring of all expeditions. Some say they were cutthroats, some released convicts, and still others have said they were noblemen in search of riches and adventure. Whatever their past, they had in common a spark of the same fire that inspired their leader. Columbus set sail, and it wasn't long before his expertness in navigation was the talk and admiration of the crew. Steering southward, he caught good east winds that carried him westward. Who was to say that the master mariner had not plotted his course well? As for stories of falling off the end of the sea, these were men not easily frightened. But suddenly trouble began. The Pinta had lost its rudder. Fortunately, the Canary Islands were only 3 days away. More waiting, more delays. First the rudder, then re-rigging the Nina. The cruise became less certain. They were leaving the last known land. What lay ahead, no one knew. Days passed. The vast unknown still lay before them. Columbus expected land any day. They had traveled in line at least 2,000 miles, and the men were growing more restless by the hour. Home began to look better to them than strange lands. Safety more glorious than riches. They begged Columbus to return. Some wept like babies.
20 days have passed, yes, and still no trace of land. But there has been seaweed and grass. And sure signs of land.
Marge!
Yeah.
We must turn back. He who thinks differently is a fool.
Columbus, still unshaken in his faith, kept his ships on their course. But the decks were the scene of constant plotting. Some men swore to mutiny. Some wanted to stop it. But there were others who couldn't be stopped. Here were twigs and leaves, sure signs that land was near.
Arturo, Gregory, look. Land must be nearby. Inform the crew, a silk coat to the man who first sights land.
And the sun came up on the morning of October 12th, 1492, to reveal a new land. All doubts and fears were gone now. The men were happy, excited, finally realizing that their captain was right. And when Columbus knelt to give thanks for his good fortune, they listened reverently. Imagine the joy of men who believed themselves doomed to die, discovering a new shore, a new hope, never knowing what dangers might be lurking there. In the name of King Ferdinand and Isabella, Columbus took the island. He named it San Salvador for the Holy Savior. and he planted his sword in the name of Spain. As he grasped the sand, the soil of his new country, Columbus thanked his men and his queen. But most of all, he thanked God. For had he not the faith to go where others failed, he would never have fulfilled his mission. The riches of this virgin land were within a handgrasp. Each man had his dream to fulfill. There was gold to be brought home, promises to be kept. Since these were the Indies, these must be Indians. Fortunately, Columbus had made preparations for this meeting, and with beads and trinkets, the friendship of the savages was soon won. Surely there must be riches in this land, riches which could not be imagined in the Admiral's wildest dreams. But though he made 3 additional trips to the new land, he failed to bring back the riches expected. No gold, no diamonds, no spices. And when Queen Isabella died, Columbus lost his most important friend in court. His enemies made sport of him, and he died not knowing he had discovered a new world. Our America.
History is riddled with unexplained events. You can turn back now or learn the stuff they don't want you to know. Here are the facts. Mainstream science tells us that sometime between 276 and 196 BC, a mathematician named Eratosthenes proved Earth was a globe. This theory spread across the world. By the time Columbus sailed to the West Indies in 1492, most academics and scientists already knew the world was round, or so I've been told. Another current runs beneath the surface of this story, and it paints a radically different picture of our world, one in which the Earth is flat, astronomy is a hoax, and the government doesn't want you to know. This is the world of flat Earth theory. What if schools teaching globalism, the idea that Earth is a sphere, rely on misinformation? What if world governments suppress this knowledge through science that relies on conjecture instead of tangible evidence? And what if astronomy, astrophysics, and space exploration are hoaxes built to deceive the population of Earth? Flat Earthers think most of these what-ifs are true. Therefore, they ignore the photographs of Earth from space, along with other scientific evidence, such as mathematical calculations. I know photographs can be faked, and I'm no math whiz, but it's hard to ignore all the evidence. We'd have to believe in a global, centuries-old conspiracy. But for a moment, let's assume it's true. How would a flat Earth work? Flat Earthers believe Earth is shaped like a disc, or perhaps a pentagon. Mountains ring this flat Earth, preventing water from falling off the area. Instead of orbiting the sun, the Earth is fixed and immobile in space. The sun passes overhead. I've read other theories that say the flat Earth actually does have something like an orbit, a gradual downward spiral. In this spiral orbit, the mountains don't completely ring the Earth. Water moving between the mountains falls straight down, returning as rain in the next revolution of the spiral. So if the Earth is actually flat, why do these globalists want us to think it's round? Here's where it gets crazy. Satanists, heretics, devil worshippers. Flat Earth theories rely on literal interpretations of biblical scripture. Flat Earthers base their ideas on pre-existing conspiracy theories, such as the Illuminati's New World Order or a shadowy satanic agenda. Many Flat Earthers believe the conspiracy is a crucial part of the coming apocalypse. By undermining biblical teachings under the guise of science, the nefarious forces of darkness can isolate and weaken Christians. Others believe aliens hatched this conspiracy to slow humanity's progress to the stars. Since I've never met an alien, or at least I don't know if I have, I can't say whether or not this is their plan, but it does seem a little far-fetched. To believe this theory, we must renounce years of personal education and centuries of research. Yet very few people have actually seen the shape of the Earth from above. Astronauts are only a fraction of 1% of Earth's population. Instead, we depend on statements of intellectuals we've never met, on pictures given to us by strangers. It becomes a matter of trust. How well do we know our sources? Is it possible we've been fooled? Is Earth the revolving globe we've always assumed it to be, or is it something entirely different? Something they don't want you to know.
What do we usually imagine when we hear the words, the Earth, this round globe? How do we know this is really true? From photos we saw on the internet, roughly 600 people have flown into space in human history. Are you one of them?
It's nothing to me.
I'm not a NASA employee either, and I get my view of the universe from the media and scientific articles. I've never actually had the opportunity to see our planet from space with my own eyes. Our civilization seems to be quite advanced, but we're still debating the shape of the Earth. What if we're really wrong on this issue? What if we don't even feel like checking it out just because we have the idea of a round planet stuck in our heads? In this video, we'll find out, can we be deceived about the real shape of the Earth? Does gravity really exist? And most importantly, we'll get to the bottom of the burning issue of the day. Is the Earth round or flat? If you're afraid that a secret world government will find out that you're watching this video, use a VPN. Atlas VPN is a convenient tool that encrypts your data. It connects your device to a VPN server, giving you a new IP and DNS address. Did you know that in Albania, for example, only 3% of all Netflix series are available? Can you imagine how many things are kept hidden from you in your country? Atlas VPN allows you to circumvent restrictions and gives access to all content on Netflix, Disney+, HBO, and other streaming platforms and websites from any part of the world, even if you live on the far side of the flat Earth. Atlas VPN supports access from an unlimited number of devices simultaneously, and Riddle subscribers get a huge 86% discount on a 3-year deal. Click the link in the video description below and join for just $1.39 per month. In addition, you'll get a 30-day money-back guarantee. The discount is valid all over the Earth, whatever shape it has. Why is it so difficult to prove whether the Earth is round or flat? We've never seen our planet from space, so all we know about it reflects what we were taught since childhood. The Earth is a spherical planet that's located in the solar system and orbits a star. The model of a flat Earth places our planet at the center of the universe, but it doesn't assume that the Earth orbits the sun. Rather, in this model, the sun rotates around the upper edge of the world like a merry-go-round, radiating light and heat down like a desk lamp. According to this version, our planet is a disk with the North Pole at its center, and Antarctica is a wall formed at its edges. That's why many years ago, a round-the-world voyage was so called, since it was considered a voyage around a huge circle, but not a sphere. In this version of world construction, east and west are not straight lines, but circles around the center of the Earth. The hypothesis regarding our planet's spherical shape dates back to Aristotle's time. That is, it predates the theory that the Earth could be flat. A spherical Earth was first mentioned in the 3rd century BC by a Greek scientist named Eratosthenes. Eratosthenes lived in Egypt, in the city of Alexandria. He was smart enough to compare the position of the sun's rays from a point straight above a person's head to the zenith point. But he did it in 2 cities at the same time, Alexandria in northern Egypt and Siena in the south. Eratosthenes knew that at noon on the summer solstice, which occurs around June 22nd every year, the sun illuminated the entire bottom of a well without casting any shadows. That is, at that time when the sun was directly overhead. But in Alexandria, at that moment, the sun was not at its zenith, but 7.2 degrees off from the zenith. And he made all these measurements with just a scaphus. Just so you understand, it's an angular measuring instrument, a vertical pole fixed to the bottom of a hemispherical bowl. It's hard to say how much the data of this device can be trusted, but that's how the idea of a round Earth first came about as far as we know. The most important experiment that could confirm the Earth's hypothesized flatness was carried out back in the 19th century by one Samuel Robotham. He chose a straight and slow-flowing 6-mile drainage canal and called it the Bedford Level. As far as he was concerned, if the Earth were really round, within these 6 miles, the Earth had to curve 7.32 meters below his line of sight. Robotham stood at one end of the Bedford Level, while another man in a small boat rowed slowly away from him. A 5-foot mast was attached to the boat, so of course, by the other end of the Bedford Level Canal, the mast shouldn't have been visible, as the top of the mast would be 3.35 meters below Robotham's line of sight. Robotham observed the boat through a telescope set up 8 inches above the water, and the small vessel remained constantly in his view along the entire length of the Bedford Level, after which he concluded that the Earth was flat. The experiment worked, but the debates continue raging to the present day. And with the development of science, the version of the round Earth became firmly established. So how did the debate regarding the Earth's shape hit a dead end? There are 2 supposed views in this case regarding why we're held to the Earth's surface without drifting or shooting off into outer space. They are gravity and gravitational pull. Both phenomena are scientifically proven, but one of them plays in favor of the round Earth theory, while the other one is said by some to support the flat Earth theory. Let's consider the basic arguments of both versions. The main argument for the theory that our planet is shaped like a sphere is the presence of gravity. Back in the 1850s, astronomer James Clerk Maxwell, using mathematical calculations, determined that gravity pulls equally from all sides of our planet. That explains why all the planets are spheres, and the existence of a disc-shaped planet is impossible. But nobody ever really saw that immeasurable force that causes an apple to fall from a tree, the moon to orbit the Earth, and all the planets to orbit the sun. Maybe it doesn't exist at all. The model of the flat Earth excludes gravity, but doesn't exclude gravitational pull. The Earth, in this case, is said to be constantly moving at a speed of 9.8 meters per second squared. This consistent motion causes a force similar to what we call gravity. Due to the fact that the disk moves at that speed, it'll be like we're held down to the Earth. That is, objects will fall to the Earth not due to gravity, but because of gravitational pull that will lower us and all other objects to the Earth. But geophysicist James Davies claims that's just impossible. Because in this conception of the Earth, it's not clear what kind of force would hold the sun and the moon above the Earth, because, for example, they could crash into each other while moving. He considers that the sun in that case should be smaller than the Earth to avoid the Earth being burned, or to avoid it hitting our planet, or even the moon. However, we know that the sun is more than 100 times the diameter of the Earth. But this debate doesn't end there either, because there hasn't been a single manned mission to the sun in human history. And as nobody's seen it with their own eyes, the flat earthers might say that we may not know the real size of our star. That's when the debate hit a dead end, because both versions are logical. So then why did the version of the round-shaped Earth win the race? If we assume that we were made to believe the Earth is round, what's the use? The model of the spherical planet, which is situated among the scary, unexplored realms of space, is truly quite beneficial. If you stuff a bunch of people in a bunker in peacetime and make them think there's a zombie apocalypse outside, they're unlikely to poke their nose outside the door, and it'll be much easier to control them in this enclosed space. Ever since the time of the space race during the Cold War between the Soviet Union and the United States, spaceflight became not just a scientific endeavor, but an obsession of each of the two great powers to overtake each other, to such a degree that each of them sometimes falsified their accomplishments. While initially there was some political expediency involved in all this, After the end of the Cold War, space missions had become a source of considerable income. A significant percentage of a country's budget gets spent on space exploration, missions to the moon, and quite possibly the misrepresentation of space travel data. But if we assume that the Earth is really a disk that is surrounded by an ice wall that holds in the oceans, then all you have to do is swim across the ocean, cross the wall, and voila, you're in outer space. Who knows? It may well be that there's something beyond these ice limits that in actuality is advantageous to hide from us. Perhaps there's some kind of a deity. Maybe it's access to the multiverse, or even a portal to go beyond a simulation that is our reality. Who knows? We haven't seen it with our own eyes. The intricate model of a spherical Earth doesn't allow for many people to fly into space so often. While on a disc-shaped planet, such space travel should be much, much easier. It turns out that lying about the Earth being round could theoretically be very advantageous to some. If that's the case, how can it be that we're prevented from learning the truth about the Earth's shape? Well, first, all scientific and academic papers and all discussions in popular culture refer only to the round version of our planet. And second, anyone who thinks the Earth is flat, for example, the rapper known as Bob, is called mad. We could just be being deprived of an opportunity to learn the truth, even by accident. And third, there's all the equipment and other such technological items, virtual maps, navigation devices, and of course, photos. Photos taken from aircraft are affected by barrel distortions as they're taken through the curved glass of an airtight cabin, and also due to atmospheric conditions outside the craft. According to the flat earthers, these give the illusion of a curved horizon. And fourth, regarding photos from space, how do you know it's not Photoshop or 3D animation? We don't have any pictures taken by an ordinary, impartial person who's not an employee of a big space corporation. Overall, the space sector is controlled by governments, and not a single ordinary person is able to go to space. That's number 5, by the way. Although there was one man who tried, 63-year-old Mad Mike Hughes decided to launch himself into space. He planned to launch his steam rocket to an altitude of 1,525 meters from a location in the desert northwest of Los Angeles. But after takeoff, something went wrong and the rocket hit the ground. Mike Hughes didn't make it. But there's one very important factor involved here. Hughes was trying to prove the flat Earth theory by taking high-altitude photos that would show there's no curvature of the planet. What if people who've wanted to know what was behind the so-called wall in Antarctica have also experienced such pushbacks? And maybe that's why we've never learned the truth. We never actually saw what's there in Antarctica. So, what does the Earth really look like? When I got into it, I suddenly realized it appears that I may have become part of this conspiracy without meaning to. All the 5 above-mentioned manipulation methods worked on me as well. I've been running this YouTube channel about space and other things for 7 years now. But maybe real space has never truly been shown. These shots right here are some stock videos I downloaded from the internet, and these thumbnails, all of them totally photoshopped. How do I know what the Earth really looks like if I've never actually been to space? If I can only believe what I've truly seen with mine own eye, then there's no such thing as space. But, my dear viewers, I've never seen you either. What if you don't exist as well, and you've never seen me? So, do I exist? And for that matter, I've also personally never seen Abraham Lincoln, a meerkat, or Helena Bonham Carter with her hair brushed. What if everything is just myth and manipulation? And I've never seen the Bedford Level, Samuel Rowbotham, or any of the other flat earthers with mine own eyes. So maybe they don't exist either. And does that mean they're not going to give my video a thumbs up?
Дать пацанам посчитать потери. Суммы нули погибают на сцене. Снова один, прогуляюсь без тени. Заливая лик, поцелуй на шее. Капитан Блан, правда назад, черный каскад. Вижу твой взгляд, степ многояд. Мог тебя взять, но ты не моя. Так дать пацанам посчитать потери. Суммы нули погибают на сцене. Снова один, прогуляюсь без тени. Заливая лик, поцелуй на шее. Капитан Блан, правда назад, черный каскад. Вижу твой взгляд, степ многояд. Мог тебя взять, но ты не моя.